Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, how I got custody. Hashtag how I got custody. I want to talk about why guys think that women own children. A lot of you guys out there think women own your children, and you act like it in word and deed. Here's an example. I talk to guys all the time. They say, my baby's mom won't let me see my kid. Kid's, 7 years old, goes to third grade, or is in first grade or whatever, second grade, goes to school. He doesn't get to see the kids. He was seeing the kids when they were living together or when they were cool, every other weekend and in the afternoons or whatever. All of a sudden, the mother says no, and he obeys her like a good little simp or slave or brainwashed, emasculated punk, for lack of a better term. There's no court order. No court order in place. So, when I go through the questioning with the guy, I'll usually ask, well, how come you don't just go pick up your kid at school? Oh, I could do that? Have you ever picked up your kid at school before? Why, yes, I have. When we were getting along. Well, what's the difference now? She says that I can't. So all of a sudden, when somebody tells you you can't do something that you've been doing in life, all of a sudden, that's the law? Did you see that in a law? Did you see a court order that? No, we're just brainwashed to think that women own children. And then so what I usually ask guys is, okay, or they might say she's kidnapping the kids from me. Why don't you call the cops on her? Well, I tried to call the cops before and they can't do anything. So a lot of the guys already know that there is no crime in going and picking up and taking your kids because you tried to report the mother, and there's no laws against acting like you're a mother. There's no laws against acting like you're a father, unless you're violating a protection order or there's a court order. But even when there's a court order, that's a civil court order, not a criminal law. And, court orders can be punishable by contempt, which can land somebody in jail after proceedings of contempt. Here's another thing I'll ask you guys. But guys are so dumbed down, airheaded, moronic, and brainwashed and emasculated and such cowardly, effeminate simps, they think the women own the children, and they don't even dare commit blasphemy and take their own child away from wherever the mother directs it. So let's say a dad goes and picks up a kid from school. The mother called the cops. I have a video on how to deal with the cops. But some of you don't care enough about your case to go looking through the free information that I have on here. None of you, or not none of you, but a lot of you don't have the sense God gave a monkey and think, wow, this guy got custody without an attorney. My attorney's screwing me over. Maybe I should go check out some of his free stuff since he's a proven winner. Now, that's not to toot my own horn, but like I've said in several other posts and examples, if I want to be a good basketball player and there's a camp down the street that Michael Jordan is doing for $20, and there's another camp that has great advertising, and Michael Jordan's just going off his name, reputation, and what he's done, and there's another guy who's a midget who got cut from his junior high school team, but he has all kinds of glitz and glamour and a neon sign outside his basketball facility and great advertisement, he's on TV. Which one am I going to go to? I'm going to go to the proven winner. But I got a video on how to deal with the police. I got videos on all this stuff. If I was one of you guys out there, and I could say this because I'm not here just to try and get a bunch of money or hustle people over. I'm trying to give somebody a dose of truth and splash them with water and have them wake up out of their feminine punk sissified stupor and man up and grow a pair and fight for your kids. Because that's what it takes. You can get all the techniques and words and legal mumbo jumbo and briefs and evidence and proof, but if you don't have a pair of gonads to fight for your kid, you're not going to win. Unless the mother was already going to surrender the kids to you, or unless she was already going to quit or already didn't care. So, all that being said, back to the subject at hand. So a guy goes and picks up his kids, the mom might yell, call, and say, I'm going to take you to court, and then the guy freaks out and cries and whines about it and hands the kids over because of an empty threat. And even if she did take him to court, guess what? You're going to get some court order visitation out of the deal so you could put your foot down, because we're talking about a scenario when there's no court order right now. Or She threatens to take him to court, or then she calls the cops. The cops come. We don't know how to deal with the cops because they can't do anything in a civil matter. Do you think the cops can come, if you win a lawsuit against somebody for money, or sue unemployment office, or you sue a doctor for malpractice and you win, let's say you win $10,000, can you call the cops and have them go shake down that doctor for your money? Of course not, and you all know that. But when we talk about civil cases in family court, which is, that's a civil case, the cops go out and they arrest people for violating the law and committing crimes. But we think that cops are there to help placate and cater to us, because a lot of us were raised by women and we were catered to by a woman, and we weren't taught to man up and do stuff on our own. So we think the cops are going to come and run and placate to us and cater to us. But you have a civil court matter. Cops don't go around enforcing civil orders. They don't go around, now violations of a protection order they will, because a civil protection order is a crime if you violate it. That's a whole nother monster dealing with it. They set that up so that you have a criminal violation of something when you never got a jury, a trial, or a criminal due process, or a lawyer, and all that other stuff. It's the feminist backdoor way of getting a crime out of a civil matter. But cops don't deal with civil matters. They arrest people for crime. So when a cop comes to you, you say, hey, this is a civil matter. If she doesn't like it, she can take me to court. Or if you have a court order and she thinks it's your time, her time, and you think it's your time, and there's a debate, or let's say you are violating it, like a lot of women do when they violate it, they tell the cops screw off and slam the door in their face, and the cops say, I can't do anything. It's a civil matter. You got to go do a contempt motion. If you don't have a custodial interference law in your state, then that's what happens. And even guys who call the cops on the mother and the cops won't do anything, they're afraid to go pick up their kids from school or daycare or wherever. Or if I saw my kid playing in the street and I live down the street and it's my time that we agreed upon and the mother is violating it, or if there's a court order or whatever, I'll just swoop up my kid and take them. And then guys go, ooh, that's kidnapping. How can you kidnap something that's yours? If you and your wife have a car in both of your names and you drive it and go hang out with your boys and she's mad and she calls the cops and report it stolen, what are you going to tell the cops? You're going to pull out the registration and say, this is my car. It's in both of our names. This is your child in both of your names. Both of your names are on the birth certificate. Why do you know more and care more about your property than you do about your own child, your own flesh and blood? And then guys' answers will usually be, oh, well, I just seen so many things like Amber Alerts and stuff like, what are Amber Alerts usually about? Somebody who violated a protection order or a total stranger kidnapping a kid? Sometimes women will call an Amber Alert when a guy takes a kid, and then later the cops realize that it was all BS. So you know what you are? You're paranoid over the boogeyman. You're afraid of something that doesn't exist. Why? Because you're brainwashed in your own paranoid mind to think that women own children. The number one question you can ask yourself or anybody in life, where do I get that from? When somebody says you can't pick up your kid, okay, where did they get that from? Oh, well, I just heard. Or, I seen an Amber Alert where a father kept his kid. Do you know the situation of that father? That father might have been restrained by a domestic violence protection order. Yeah, then they can't do that. Then it's a crime. Well, I heard this and I heard that. If somebody says, oh, well, there's a law on custodial interference and the cops usually arrest people and I've seen it happen over and over, then that's a good answer. But nobody ever has a good answer because everybody's afraid and paranoid of some bull crap that doesn't even exist. You guys are running around scared over something that's a rumor that you actually never even verified or looked into or researched yourself. You're paranoid over the boogeyman. Grow a pair and act like you're the father of your own kid. When you were married or together or living together, you were the father of that child. When you were separated, did you divorce from that child? No. Did you become unfathered? Or is that kid not yours anymore because you broke up? The only difference is the mother says no or you're separated. And you guys are such simps and brainwashed punks that you think that the mother owns the child. And then guys will say, oh, she's got custody. You allowed her to have custody because you agreed to surrender the kid to her total domination and care, and you obey her like you're a slave and she's your master. Stop acting like women own children. Sure, go to court and get a court order, and then don't do this stuff and stir up any trouble because you're a sissy little feminine punk, and you're scared to do what the mother's been doing for years or months or weeks. But do something. Your life with your kids is at stake, and your effeminate feelings and comfort is not more important than that child's relationship with you. Man up. Let's go.